Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed your break and are excited to get going with summer classes. This month we are talking about repetition, which is a very valuable best practice in ELAA teaching that is so easy to use and can really radically transform your class. So we'll talk about why it's good to repeat in the classroom, what we're really talking about when we talk about repetition, and how to do it. So why is repetition important for language learners? Well, research shows that when students have adequate opportunities for high quality repetition, there is an increase in accuracy, in fluency, and in complexity and range of vocabulary. This means that we can let go of that pressure we put on ourselves to pack our lessons with sparkly activities. Rather, we can have fewer activities but go much deeper with them. This better serves our students and it better serves us. You may have noticed that I said high quality repetition. What does that mean? Well, repetition, sort of the normal repetition that we think of, is kind of robotic, but it does help with the development of automaticity, meaning that those words and phrases that we're repeating, we can call them up quickly. But if it's done mindlessly, it can be really boring and demotivating because it's really easy to just check out from it. However, if we're mindful of an element of the repetition, we're focused and engaged and developing self-monitoring skills. And it can be very motivating because we can see progress in the quality of our repetitions. So how do we create opportunities for mindful repetition? It's really simple. We just give students a focus. So let's say we're working on thank you and the students are repeating thank you. I can focus them on pay attention to your tongue. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So then when they're repeating, they're paying attention to their tongue. Another example is if we're working on something where we're repeating a sentence, I can ask students to focus on the intonation. And so as they're repeating, they're mimicking my intonation and going, how are you? How are you? And so their brains are cued in on that rather than disengaging. Let's take a look at how this looks in an actual activity. Okay, so let's talk through a procedure with mindful repetition in a dialogue. You can use this procedure at any level because the content of the dialogue is what changes, not the procedure. Because, a beginner dialogue is going to be very simple, maybe 3 or 4 lines. But an advanced dialogue might be 10 very complicated lines. So this procedure is still helpful for students at every level. So first, we're going to write the dialogue on the board and have the dialogue printed on a handout. But don't give it to them yet, because next we're going to say, this is a conversation. Shh, relax, listen to the conversation. Because it's really important to let students know what's expected of them, especially in a listening activity, because this helps students guide their listening and develop that very important skill of listening for relevant information rather than trying to take everything in. So then we're going to model the dialogue slowly with the teacher or assistant. We're going to model it a second time slowly. Then we're going to hand out copies. And we're going to say, relax, listen again. This time, follow along on your paper. This is allowing students to listen and follow along first before jumping into any discussion of the content or of comprehension. Now, we're going to say, listen and follow along again. Think. Who are the people? What is the problem? So here I am guiding the students' focus during the repetition. They are focusing on what the situation is, rather than just taking in the repetition. And so also here, rather than me explaining what the dialogue is about, we're making students do the work of discerning what the dialogue is about. The other benefit here of repeating this so many times is that students are able to just relax and take in the music of the sentences. And this is a place where even higher level students in the class are getting what they need. So then I ask, what did you hear? What was the problem? And students can discuss. Now, I'm going to direct students' attention to the board. I'm going to read the line, they're going to repeat. We're going to repeat each line 2 to 3 to 4 times, and I'm going to focus on modeling native-like pronunciation. This is also a place to check comprehension of vocabulary. So for example, if we're doing a dialogue at a restaurant, rather than just repeating, "What can I get you?" from the server, I can model, "What can I get ya? What can I get ya?" And so when students are repeating that native pronunciation, they're focusing on sounding like me. Also, one more point, we're setting up students to practice accurate pronunciation when we're practicing here together before we turn them loose to practice with a partner. So then they'll be reinforcing that correct pronunciation. Step 9. Now the pairs are going to do the dialogue, and then they're going to switch roles. Step 10, they're going to find a new partner, do it again, switch roles. Then we're going to have volunteers come up to the front and act it out. And then finally, it transitions into a role play where we take away the script and we assign roles where one person is the customer, one person is the server. But by this point, students have heard or repeated dialogue like 10 times, and so it's time to push them out of the nest to fly. And including this step is super important because this is where we're taking the leap to real language use. That's more like what they are going to do outside of the classroom. So here's the whole procedure. How many times have students interacted with this dialogue by the end? At least 13, maybe more, depending how many times you repeated each line. They now know it forwards and backwards and upside down, and they're super confident with it, which means they're more likely to actually use this language outside of the classroom. And you have killed like 30 minutes of class with one activity. There are many other activities that encourage repetition. Here are a few that you might be familiar with: dialogue lines, conversation mingle, infogap, concentric circles, walk, talk, trade. These activities all help students repeat in mindful ways, where it's not just drilling, it's not just parroting or regurgitating. They're being mindful about what they're actually communicating. And if you're not familiar with any of these, or if you want to learn some other ones, I recommend that you check out the minnesotaliteracycouncil.org classroom videos page, where you can find many great activities. So in conclusion, give yourselves a break. When you build opportunities for high quality repetition into your activities, you free yourself from that pressure of having to pack your lessons with as many exciting, sparkly activities as possible. And you help students develop accuracy and fluency and self-monitoring skills. Before I wrap up, there's more information about this in the newsletter, but I just want to give you all a face-to-face or video face-to-face invitation to our new Fishbowl class this summer. I will be teaching at the beginner class at Woods Library Mondays and Wednesdays from 12 to 2, and all ELAA tutors of all levels, whether you're beginning, intermediate, advanced, if you're active, inactive, a sub, everybody's welcome, everybody's encouraged to come observe me teach a class or 2 or 7. This will be your chance to see me try to do my best to show ELAA best practices in my teaching. So the pressure is really on. I'm going to have to be on my toes all summer. And it is a beginning class, but as we know, best practices are best practices regardless of the level. So I encourage all ELAA tutors to come watch me do my best and make some mistakes and reflect and grow. I hope that you have a great month and a great startup. And as always, please don't hesitate to give me a call or an email or pop in to say hi.